What is good, Cloudy people, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Bobbalam back with some Lil Uzi Vert history, more specifically analyzing if his record deal was as bad as he and his fans portrayed it to be. Let's talk about it. Before we get into the juicy stuff, i.e. how much money he's getting out of the deal, it's only fair that we dig into his life before he even went by his current stage name, Lil Uzi Vert. His story begins in 2014 with a project called Purple Thoughts, which he released under the standalone name Vert, representing vertical drops on skateboard ramps. Later on, after a few name changes such as Tiny Gun Rap, Small Chopper Board, and Dinky Stick Flip, he finally fit into his current Lil Uzi Vert alias after a friend mentioned that he raps fast like a mini Uzi gun. Much better if you ask me. But to continue, a DJ in Philly named DJ Diamond Cuts was the first to discover his music and played it on her radio show. This caught the attention of Don Cannon, one of the two label executives of Generation Now whom Uzi is currently signed to. The other label exec was none other than DJ Drama, who has taken most of the heat from Uzi fans for the Love Is Rage 2 and Eternal Atake delays. Quick note, we only recently confirmed that Uzi is in fact the reason for the delays because he was not happy with his deal, therefore did not want to drop music for Drama and Cannon to make money off him, and I have an entirely separate video on that, so go check it out if you're interested.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
DJ Drama and Don Cannon, under the name of Generation Now, incubated Lil Uzi Vert for 2 years, helping him discover his own unique sound, aka the melodic genre-breaking mumble rap we all love him for today, and finally released what was his first taste of virality, the original Love Is Rage mixtape in 2016, so beginning the tale of the Uzi we know today. Only a couple weeks later, Lil Uzi signs to Atlantic Records for a multi-million-dollar deal, and yes, this is the deal everyone loves to shit on. Keep in mind, this was still 2016, before all the hit records we associate with Uzi. That means Money Longer, EXO Tour Life, You Was Right, and the list goes on. Quick little recap of the information I just went over. Uzi drops Purple Thoughts in 2014, sounding like this.
Some of them love, but most of them don't. Some of them suck dick and some of them won't.
And then he came out in 2016 after being curated and mentored by DJ Drama and Don Cannon, sounding like this.
Like, oh goddamn, that's the bitch that I want.
So not to take anything away from Uzi, because he definitely has the talent and proves it time and time again, but without DJ Drama and Don Cannon picking him up so early in 2014, who knows if he would have even kept rapping and what his sound would have progressed to given other mentors or a lack thereof. And that goes both ways though. Maybe he could have been bigger with different mentors, but all I'm saying is most likely he would not have been picked up by such notorious music figures like Don Cannon, who hosted the Lost Tapes mixtape series with Nas when DatPiff was the most popular site for underground music, and DJ Drama, who created the Gangsta Grillz Dedication mixtape series with Lil Wayne. And what a lot of people forget too is that these two managers funded Uzi for 2 years before they made any money from his music, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars when factoring in studio time, mixing and mastering the songs, probably making him quit school and his day job to focus completely on music, and the boy's gotta eat and roof over his head. In turn, Uzi would probably not have received such a big deal from Atlantic if it weren't for these two. We can think about his financial situation as two pies. One pie, Uzi and Generation Now own all of the pie, but it's still a rather small pie because they don't have a ton of money to push his music on different platforms, make crazy music videos, and travel the world on tours and etc. The next pie is at least 10 times bigger, but instead of Uzi owning roughly half of the pie, he only owns a 20% slice in it. We gathered the numbers 20% from the rumor that Uzi only received $900,000 from EXO Tour Life streaming sales in 2017 out of the $4.5 million in total Atlantic accumulated throughout that year. But to continue, the number 20% sounds awful as big of an artist that Uzi has become. However, that 20%, if multiplied by the total amount of money that came from the big pie, is still much larger than what Uzi would have received in the small pie, owning 50%, representing staying independent. The differential between the pies becomes exponentially greater when we factor in not only music streaming, but also tour tickets, merch sales, etc., that Atlantic has the money and resources for, which Uzi most likely makes a higher percentage percentage from then streaming, and also would not have been able to do so efficiently if he had stayed independent. So there's just essentially much more money to be made. In fact, throughout the couple years following Love Is Rage, Atlantic and Generation Now helped Uzi accompany world tours with Wiz Khalifa, Fall Out Boy, and most notably The Weeknd, where Uzi was inspired to create his mega smash hit that made him who he is today, XO Tour Life. Not to mention, in 2016, Lil Uzi Vert was chosen for one of the most coveted awards for aspiring young rappers, the XXL Freshman List, with the likes of Lil Yachty, Kodak Black, 21 Savage, and a few other significant rappers of that time. Doesn't sound like Uzi had such a bad experience with Generation Now and Atlantic, right? Well, let's find out using the previous Pi model. Discontent with his record deal began after the rumors arose regarding receiving only $900,000 off the $4.5 million from XO Tour Life, which at this point has grossed well over $10 million, thus giving him over $2 million and counting as it racks up more streams. Uzi let all his Twitter followers know how much he hated being signed to Drama, along with multiple warnings to smaller artists to remain independent. But again, was his record deal really all that bad? Now, we don't know the exact number of dollars Uzi received in advance from his Atlantic deal in 2016, but for the sake of the video, let's just say $1 million. The way advances work with artists is that they receive this money upfront for a certain amount of albums in order to record, make music videos, buy clothes, and essentially just live. The label will handle all the labor and pay for all the promotion of your music and other revenue sources such as the previously mentioned tours, merchandise, Spotify placements, etc. So Uzi doesn't really need to worry about anything except for making music and looking fresh in his IG fit pics. To put things in perspective, if he was independent, he would have to handle all this by himself, or at least pay a bunch of people to do it for him. All the labels ask for in return is to be able to approve the content before it releases, aka the music and videos that go out, as well as to recoup the money given upfront for the contract signing, and afterwards percentages will be split between the artist and the label. In this case, Uzi has a 20% stake in his career from the looks of it, which is fairly average for an artist that signed as early in his career as he did before he had any hit records. However, when artists flop after receiving their advance money, in other words, never recouping the money for their label, they never actually receive the percentage stake in their own career because they still technically owe the label money, and then it turns into a vicious cycle of the artist is unhappy because they have no money, and the label is not motivated to give them more money because they already lost a bunch on the investment. Uzi is not in this predicament, therefore he's still making mad money, so no one can use that argument against DJ Drama and Generation Now. So with all this said, in summary, Lil Uzi Vert has roughly a 20% stake in his career, which may not seem like much. However, Atlantic and Generation Now took a huge risk on forking him millions of dollars in advance and marketing budgets. Therefore, they wanted 80% of the profit after recouping what they first invested, as with any other type of business. It just gets a little more tricky because the business that they're investing in happens to be a person. Furthermore, they continue to pay for Lil Uzi Vert's brand daily with Spotify placements, traveling, merchandise, and countless other functions, so they rightfully deserve at least some percentage of Lil Uzi Vert's career to this day. Without the two labels' assistance, Uzi's pie in all likelihood would have been much smaller than the small piece of the big pie he currently owns in his career. So, in my opinion, no, Uzi does not have a bad deal. He just got picked up super early and had no leverage to negotiate more percentage ownership in his royalties because he didn't have substantial numbers on his music yet. For example, XXXTentacion was independent and only dropped music on SoundCloud for years until Look at Me exploded while he was in jail and still independent. So when labels came knocking on his door, he could have asked for however much money he wanted and percentage of his career that he wanted, and that's exactly what he did because he had the leverage from a breakout song. So with that, it's your boy Bobbalam signing off, only giving y'all straight facts about the music industry. Don't let the hype and people's Twitter fingers fool you because most people don't actually know what they're talking about, honestly. Let me know in the comments if y'all think his deal is still unfair following all of this information. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it for more Uzi and clout rapper content. I'm sure you'll like one of the videos that's popping up on the end screen right about now. Peace out, cloudy people. Know what I'm saying?